Welcome to Sis to Sis. I'm Calandra.
I'm Latoya.
And hi, today here we have Mr. Mark Collins here with us again. He's coming back and joining us again for a second part of our conversation, talking about unleashing your identity and talking about our character. And we are going to ask that you guys go ahead and follow us and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and also our other social media platforms. You can find us at Sis to Sis 1988. So, Mr. Collins, we're going to go ahead and jump back in and continue our conversation from the first segment. So, we kind of touched on this just a little bit, talking about measuring up. Why do you think people often feel the need to measure up to feel loved or valued?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Calandra. Why I think it's because of what everybody assumes we're supposed to do, right? From all the things that you're talking about, I'm not trying to bash on media, but social media and, even the people around us, you grow up sometimes, have you ever had that case? I know I did in my life. I wasn't really spectacular academically. And when you bring home that report card that isn't what your parents expected
Right.
and what their response is. I mean, in my household, it was, yeah, C's are better and hopefully better. But if they're less than that, then at a certain age you're made aware of that is just not okay. And sometimes that's great because that helps us to measure up to our capability. But a lot of times it's not our capability, what other people's expectations are of us. And then you have social media showing you how everybody else is having an amazing life and always on vacation and I got the best of possessions and the biggest house and all of that, and you're trying to figure that out. And in that place, you want to have an impact. I tell people that, I believe everybody has an impact that has their name on it. And I don't say that because it's just a nice line or tagline for people to see, but because that's actually what I believe everybody already knows. I think for every person innately, they believe there's a reason for their life. There's a reason for them to walk through the things they're walking through and do the things that they're doing, that they believe there's somebody of worth and value. And the short answer is you're absolutely correct. There absolutely is value in you. There absolutely is something that is unique about you, who every single person, right? All of us one of a kind creations, all of us a masterpiece. But the challenge is when we're trying to measure up to somebody else's idea on what our life should look like. What success should look like for me, or what I should do, what job I should have, what vocation, what business I should start, all the things that other people have opinions on that sometimes are, in alignment with who we are and really help us to envision the better life that we have. But in many cases, it's really us hearing from them what their idea is for our life because it's what their idea was for theirs. And so for us, it's really starting to unpack, okay, well, who are you uniquely created to be? We talked about it in the last episode. It comes down to identity, right? Who are you, not just apart from the things that you're doing, but who is it that makes you you? The passion that you have, the character that you have, the things that drive you, that the things that you really want to invest time in, right? I try and help people to understand that what we look like is in our life mastery. We have this phrase, it's life mastery is you living from who you're created to be at the highest level you're created for in every area of life. So it really is starting to understand and unpack, okay, well, what does that life look like lived out? The me part, the thing that's my passion, my goal, my desire, the thing that is my fingerprint on the world that's going to happen. When you start to be able to unpack some of those things, me apart from what other people's expectations are, you start to see and start to understand that, well, maybe there is something that's my thing, the passion that I can't let go of, the thing that drives me, that keeps me up at night, that I work on even when I'm missing deadlines on other things, right? The things that people have to pull you away from because you're so locked into it that you lose track of time. Those are the things that really I believe people are looking for in their life, their own impact in the world.
And when you also talk about measuring up, like in your courses and also possibly in your book, do you speak anything on like about social media, maybe limiting their time on social media, individuals? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think you can, but I think at the end of the day, my biggest challenge isn't social media and the outside world. It's mostly me.
Okay.
It's my interpretation of the life that I've walked through. So social media, it is what it is. It can be a great value. Obviously, we're doing that here, and you're inviting people to your social media. I do that as well because there's things that you're doing to invest in them through it, and I do as well. So there's great things that happen on it, but there's also things that aren't. And the difference is, obviously the things that they provide for you, but the challenge that I find in most people's life isn't the outside world talking to them, it's the things they say to themselves. Because in most cases, in most places, the things that the world are telling me about myself, they can only get affirmed if I believe them already.
True.
And so in that place where you feel like you don't measure up, where you're less than, where you're not as good as, it's just the outside world really confirming what you believe about yourself already. And so for us, it really isn't unpacking outside influences initially. It's really unpacking identity. And it's that thing that I talked about previously, which was living from who you're created to be or what your life has told you. In
Mhm.
most of our cases, in most lives, my past has told me something about myself. I
Mhm.
can unpack one for myself. And I remember when I was 5 years old, my dad was in the military, and so in the military, for those who don't know, many times if they need your position, your role, the thing you do as a job somewhere else, they'll take you to that place. So it could be in a different state, a different city, or it could be in a different nation. And so when I was 5 years old, he was in the finance area, and they needed him, his role, his position, his skill set somewhere else. Sometimes your family goes, sometimes they don't. And in this case, we didn't. And so what that meant was he was working in a different country for a period of time, almost a year. And that meant that my mother was left with 4 young children. I was 5. I had a younger sister, 4, a sister 1 year older, 6, and a sister who was 7 years older than me. So she was 12. So my mom had 4 young children that she was taking care of, as well as the whole household and all of those things, while my father went and worked some other place. Well, the stress and the anxiousness that she received from that, the emotional stress that she had from that, caused her to have a nervous breakdown.
Mm.
So she was hospitalized for a period of time. People came and took her away, and so the 4 of us were there, uh, in that position without, our father, who, your strength, the things that you get from your father, without him being in the household, and now my mom being taken away. And so her siblings, her brother and sisters, decided that each of them would take one of us and take care of us until my father could come back from that foreign country, and she could be taken care of as well.
Mhm.
So not only did our father leave and was gone for a period of time, our mom left and we were left without her, but we were left without each other as well.
Mm.
Each one of us in a different household with relatives we kind of knew but really didn't. And so there was an identity statement that was taken from that experience. And it was a statement that people who love me leave me.
Mm.
The abandonment of not having the
Mhm.
people that you're closest to there at all in your life gave an identity statement. So that illustrates the thing I'm talking about, which is your life is telling you things. And it's typically not about the experience. The experiences are great, they're good, they're bad, they're horrible. They're somewhere in between, right? And your experiences are what they are. They'll not get better because you walk through them. They'll just be what they were. But the challenge in them is the identity statement you take from them. It's not the experience I walked through that's the issue. It's what it says about me.
Mhm.
So imagine that young boy who's growing up with that feeling that with people who love me leave me. And what happens when you become a teenager or an adult, young adult, or what have you, and your relationships aren't going well? What are the emotions that come up in that area? Oh, I know what this means. You don't realize it consciously, but you understand emotionally that, oh, this stress, this worry, this shame, this fear, it comes from a place. It comes from a place of knowing that people who love me leave me. So you have that anxiousness and you have those responses because of that. What happens when you get married and you're having challenges in your marriage? And you have this identity statement that says, oh, well, people who love me leave me. And it
Mhm.
goes back to that initial experience. And so for me, the thought processes we have that we know consciously or have subconsciously aren't because of somebody else. It's not because of outside influence. Outside influence just confirms what I truly believe about myself.
Mm.
If somebody was to tell me you're a pickle and I don't believe I'm a pickle, their words would just sound like nonsense.
Right.
If somebody tells me you're an idiot, sorry for the language, but if I don't believe I'm an idiot and I know I'm a person of competence and I've got intelligence, at least at some level, and they're telling me something I don't believe about myself, then they just look like they're foolish to me. But if
Mhm.
somebody's telling me, yeah, you're not worth loving, or they reject me in a relationship and I feel like I'm not worth loving, now all of a sudden that experience just confirms what I already believe.
Mhm.
So for us, the work isn't a work of quieting the outside world, but
Okay.
aligning the inside world with who you're
Mhm.
created to be. That young boy, again, walking through my life mastery journey, we have tools and strategies to help people do it. Understanding who I'm created to be, understanding identity. Identity is everything, as I said, right? I'm a person of worth and value. I'm a person of competence and care. I'm a person of compassion and strength. Coming from that place, looking back on that experience, well, we walk through a couple of things. First off, we walk through the emotion of it and say, okay, this thing you're feeling, this fear, this shame, this worry, this stress. Where's the first time you felt that? Oh, I remember feeling it then, wherever that then is in your life. What's the lie you believed then? The lie I believed was people who love you leave you.
Mhm.
That's the first question we tackle. The second question is this, and it's the powerful question that'll change your life forever. But coming from a place of identity, what's the truth that you know? The truth that I know is I am a person worth loving, that it wasn't a outcome of her love for me. It was a stressful situation that she couldn't manage on her own and that she needed help with. It
Mhm.
wasn't an identity statement of who I was. It was an experience that she was walking through that I just happened to be a part of.
Mhm. Mhm.
When you're able to find the truth in the circumstance, when you're able to see the lie that you believed, when you're able to identify the emotion that is continuing to come up, right? In work where you're always worried about, man, they're not respecting me, they're not helping, I'm worth more than I did it. All the things that you're telling yourself, what you're really saying is they're degrading me. When you're in that challenge in a business and you're having a financial downturn, and you're saying, oh man, I'm going to blow this, I'm going to fail, and you're feeling like a failure. When you identify the emotion and you understand where it came from and you attack the lie with the truth, now all of a sudden it doesn't have power on you any longer.
Mhm.
Now all of a sudden, every moment from that point forward, that lie doesn't get to tell me who I am any longer. That experience doesn't get to tell me who I am any longer. It doesn't change the experience, whatever it was that you've walked through. We never tell people to discount your experiences, to act like they don't happen, to just get over it. All of that is just nonsense that gives you no value and no help.
Mhm.
But what we do tell them is, can we walk through that experience with you? Can we, you know, understand and unpack that lie? Can we speak a truth to it? Because in that place, your experience doesn't get to tell you who you are anymore.
Mhm. Mhm. Very insightful. Thank you for that. How can someone's self-perception shape their reality, and can you share a particular example?
Yeah, it shapes everything. If and starting with identity, the thing that I tell people is this: you'll never be greater than who you believe you will. What I mean is this: you'll never succeed beyond what you believe you're able to. The
Mhm.
challenge and the thing that I tell the people I work with is, well, but what if your perception's wrong? What if you are greater than your past experiences? What if you are more than what you've walked through? What if there's more to your life and more to the outcomes of your life and more impact than what you've been able to do? What if that little dream that you had on the inside when you were younger, that thing that you believed you could do, that career, that idea, that concept, that artistic endeavor, that business you wanted to start, what if you actually could do that? And the only thing holding you back is your belief system that's stopping you.
Mhm.
Again, living from who you're created to be or living from what your life has told you.
Mhm.
That business that I talked about in the previous episode where my wife and I succeeded in it, that was a successful business. That was the fifth business that I
Mm.
started,
Okay.
not the first one. A lot of times we think that everybody else is succeeding on a daily basis and they're doing it from the very start, not realizing that there's a journey to everybody's success. There's a lie that most people believe, and it's that there's this idea of an overnight success. And when we see an artist and they've got this hit song, and wow, it looks like they just got here, so they're successful, or there's somebody who's an actor, or somebody who is an athlete, or somebody who's got a business success, and we think, well, it was their first one, is the first thing they did, and it was amazing from the beginning. We never see the track record and the time frame that it took them to get to success. The only people who believe there's an overnight success are those who've never tried to be successful. Everybody who's succeeded at stuff realizes that there's a journey to get there
Right.
and there's failures along the way.
Right.
And so for me, what we try to do is start to unpack some of those things. And so we start with understanding, what are you telling yourself? Before I worry about what the world says about me, the question I always invite people to is, what do you say about you?
Mhm.
So because I tell them, who you think you are, you'll become. I'll say it again so you can write it down. Who you think you are, you'll become. The things you repetitively tell yourself, about your success, about the things you're doing, about the things you're striving for, if they're not aligning with who you are created to be, then they're lying to you.
Mhm.
And so, what if your vision needs to be greater for who you are? And so, for us, it starts with understanding that all change happens in life and all action happens in life. And it first starts with your thoughts. Who you think you are, you'll become. So, what if we were to align your thoughts with who you're created to be? That's why we unpack identity initially in the things we do and the work we have. Because if you don't start from that place, if you start from trying to overcome your negative thoughts, what you're really trying to do is get a mantra and affirmation. And every time a fear comes up, or a worry, or some sort of stressful thought, or some negative impact, some negative, thought process that you're having, you're trying to bludgeon it, until it's silent, until it's quiet. But the challenge is, when I start to use an affirmation, I'm amazing, I'm amazing, I'm amazing, when fear comes up and I'm trying to quiet that thought down, it eventually works because you're eventually just silencing it through all your repetition. But the challenge is it never goes away. What
Mhm.
most people deal with is the emotion that they're going through rather than the root of the identity statement that they're believing. And in that place, you're dealing with the fruit, not the root. And
Mm.
you know as well as I do, Calandria, you can never kill a tree by taking the fruit off of it.
Right.
But when you destroy the roots of it, it stops. And so the root of that worry, that thing that you're going through, isn't the outcome, which is your fear coming up when things are stressful. It's the belief you have that you're going to fail at the thing you're walking into, or that you're not good enough, or whatever the word is, the identity statement that you're telling yourself or you're living from.
Mhm.
So for us, it's aligning your thought process. Well, how do you do that? How do you master your thoughts? That's our transformational strategy, is mastering your thoughts, words, and actions. We start with thoughts because everything does. You'll never do anything in your life that was at first a thought. As a person of faith, I understand in myself that everything that I am created to be was first a thought of God. And so why
Mhm.
wouldn't I align with that? So start with your thoughts. Well, how do you align your thoughts with who you are? How you master your thoughts? Well, you master them by giving yourself empowering thoughts to overcome the negative ones. And you do it before you start. For us, it starts with affirmations, but the affirmations aren't these generic things that you really don't believe about yourself anyway. It's aligning your affirmations with who you are. Well, how do you do that? We talked about it in the last episode, with an I am statement that tells you who you are, with a celebration list that shows you you're worthy, with an accomplishment list that shows you that you're a person of continual success in your own life. When you
Mhm.
use affirmations that align with who you are, you'll see that person show up and you'll expand the life that you can live.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. What are some effective steps to identify and replace limiting beliefs or negative thoughts with empowering ones?
And that's exactly what I think. We just outlined exactly what we do. It's aligning things that you're saying to yourself with the things that you actually are created to be, not general affirmations that you believe. I've worked, and I told you last episode that I had a multitude of personal development programs, read dozens of books. And the challenge in most of them was that they didn't really bring the transformation that I was hoping for. They brought change. And the challenge with change is it's really habits that you create to maintain who are you're at, right? It's you're trying to overcome fear by some sort of mantra and affirmation you're trying to do. You're trying to overcome procrastination by having some massive action, as some of them talk about. Every time I feel like I'm going to hesitate, I just take massive action and I change. Right, but every time you hesitate, you take massive action and then you just hesitate again, and then you just hesitate again. So what you're doing is you're creating a habit that you have to maintain for a lifetime, rather than transformation that changes you forever.
Mhm.
The difference between the two is a habit is exhaustion, transformation is living life mastery, living from who you are.
Mhm.
And in that place, when we start to unpack, mastering our thoughts through mastering our life through our words, our I am statement, our celebration list, our accomplishment list, you start to see that man or that woman show up. And
Mhm.
here's the truth of the matter. When I start showing up as a person I'm created to be, do I need to remind myself through affirmation who I am? Well, no, because that person is showing up already. Because I understand who I am through repetition, I live through who I am. It
Mhm.
really is living from that place of understanding who you are and living from that place, life master, living the life I'm created for at the highest level I'm created for in every area of our life.
Okay. What advice would you give to someone who feels stuck or unfulfilled in their current circumstances? And then how can they begin to take steps toward a greater purpose?
Yeah, I would say first and foremost, your dissatisfaction is a blessing.
Mhm.
Because here's the truth, the dissatisfaction that we have in our life tells us that we believe internally at some level that there's something more. And
Mhm.
that's exactly what started me on my life mastery journey, was me believing that there was more than the life I was living and the person I was showing up as. Brought me on the whole journey of all the personal development things we talked about, and it led me to creating what I consider a transformational course in life mastery. So the truth of the matter is that dissatisfaction is the you on the inside saying there's more than right now. There's more than what I'm living. There's more than what I have. There's more than what I'm accomplishing. Whatever the thing is, that is your more, right? I love that because dissatisfaction is a gift. Put my dream aside. I still believe in me. So the first
Mhm.
thing is I celebrate that in you because that means that you're ready to make a change.
Mhm.
This
Mhm.
isn't enough and I want to see more. Whatever that is in your life. If it's relationship, if it's a job, if it's an income level, whatever the thing that you want to do.
Mhm.
And so first and foremost, it's that. And
Mm.
so for us, it's really starting with that and unpacking, okay, well, if you're dissatisfied where you're at, then can we have a vision for where you want to be? And before we start to name off the things you want, right? The title you want or the income level you want or the possessions you want to have, can we start with who you want to be and who you want to become?
Mhm.
Because if you're shooting for things in replacement for your created value and who you are, then they'll always be dissatisfying. Again, those people we know in our lives who have got great accomplishment and are still a disaster in some area of their life, where they have great accomplishment and then they find that they have an amazing dysfunction in some area because they're using those things as a substitute for identity. But when you're living from who you are, now all of a sudden those outcomes are even greater and they're actually a joy, not just something that's a relief. So who are you and who do you want to become? That person is the thing to strive for. And the outcomes, your income level, your title, your role, your business or your artistic endeavor, you become an amazing artist or whatever the thing is that is going to be the outcome will come from that.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, okay. Well, if someone is interested in working with you or they wanna purchase your book, how can they find you?
Well, I appreciate the question. I try and be a one-stop shop. So for me, I have a website that freedom-4-life.net. It's freedom-4-life.net. My course is out there. It's a web-based course that's self-directed. There's one-on-one coaching aspects to it. There's also a group coaching aspect as well. So that course is out there. I also have on my website an e-book version of my book, which I love personally because it gives you the ability to take it on your phone or your iPad or any device you have. You can get the hard copy for sure on a paperback on Amazon, but I love the ebook version as well. I tell people the book is a shortcut guide towards the Life Mastery course. So when you can have the full-fledged, amazing, robust course that we have, or you can grab the book and I've tried in each chapter to give you one nugget that you can read today, implement this week, and find transformation in that area this month. So both of those are out there. And if you want to reach out to me directly, you can do so at Mark MARK at freedom-4-life.net. If you have a question you want to have, I'd love to be able to help you in your life.
Okay, okay. Alrighty, before we wrap up here, can you tell us, like, what's your favorite thing about doing the work that you do? What do you enjoy most?
The thing that I really enjoy the most is it's the thing I saw in myself. So that young man of 15, 16, 17, early mid 20s, there was this desperation to be different than what I was. I believed there
Mm,
was something for me and there was a person I could be. And so I created that transformational course because I couldn't find one. And the thing I love is the thing I found in myself. It was this amazing joy in being proven right. And for the people I work with, I love to prove them right, that person that they believe they could be, the life they believe they could have. They don't know how to get there, but they haven't given up on themselves yet. They may have tried, like me, several courses, several books, several people that they've talked to, and they haven't received it yet. But when I see the outcomes, whether it was Brett, who was successful in business but really was a mess in the background, or Vance, who wasn't having the relationships he could because he had some control issues and some challenges in that area, or any of the other people that I've worked with. The thing I love is that the belief they had, that person they could be, seeing that person show up and the great joy they have and in the outcomes, right? The amazing things that they're having in their life, but really being proven right about themselves, that they really could be that person and are seeing that person on a daily basis. To me, well, that's the whole reason I actually went from my own transformational journey to try and create what I call a blueprint to freedom for other people. When I see them living it out in their own lives, that's exactly what I love, because it brings back the understanding that, man, it's something of worth in their lives and it's something they may have not received otherwise. So it gives me great joy to be able to invest that with them.
okay. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Mr.
Thank
Collins.
you.
Appreciate it.
It was my joy. Thanks for the conversation.
So until next time,
There's strength in sisterhood and support in sisterhood. Bye.
bye.